to talk about the White Star forces. These particular ones are Americans. I've done them as American infantry. Now, the point here is that the game is quite fixed. You can't just have a whole battalion fight a whole battalion. It's a search and destroy game. Now, usually the American force gets 3 squads of men. It's all 1-to-1, so these 2 little men on a base are 2 men. 1 squad, 2 squad, 3 squads, and a command team. And that's a typical Vietnam platoon. Because this search and destroy game is part of a bigger sweep. There's other bits of the game going on off table, but this is the part I want to concentrate on so the game gets done. Now, in addition to a platoon, you can buy some extra things. I spent every single point of the extra things to buy a couple of tanks for simplicity. I could have had a couple of M113s and maybe a scout. Could have had a K9 unit. Could have some tunnel rats. All sorts of bits and pieces. But purely for simplicity, I've laid out 3 squads and I've spent every single extra point. You get 8 extra points on a pair of tanks. You could have had no vehicles, perfectly normal, and had a K9 team, an interpreter team, maybe artillery liaison, all sorts of bits and pieces. The rules give you a pointage for all those things. Of course, the VC can gamble points to get rid of a road, which makes tank work very, very difficult indeed. But the game is balanced, both sides can win. Now, I've used sabots, these. They're made by war bases, but you can make something similar yourself. That way, the figures can sit in a little hole, and when I move them, they can all move together quite easily. You could have them as separate bases. It's the same mechanism, but it's just easier, especially visually. Now, this typical platoon I've got here, it's commanded by Lieutenant Kiji. It's got Corporal Amber there, Sergeant Topaz and Sergeant Blue. It's just some made up names, but there we go. Now, the basic game lets most of the infantry platoon arrive. 1 squad comes on a little bit later because they often had a backstop squad. So as you pursue VC up the table and start clearing out villages, another squad could arrive somewhere else to help form a backstop. And there we go. That is the US or the White Star Force. Now here's the VC force of this game. The VC is completely different to the White Star because this game isn't symmetrical warfare, it's lopsided or asymmetrical as you might want to call it. This is not a normal game of 2 armies lining up and just beating the hell out of each other. This game, here are the VC. They get 5 units initially. The units have only got a leader and 1 base. Because the way the VC would work is that if the White Star come into an area, they'd activate local VC members, because the VC aren't really a regular army. They'd activate local VC members, get them to get mobilised and get to it. In reality, a lot of the local VC members, as with any of these guerrilla type formations, didn't actually want to fight. So if the Americans were very close, or other White Star very close, they'd say, I'm sorry, I can't help out today, I can't join up. And also be quite panicky. They'd say, crikey, we didn't expect the Americans to arrive here today, or the White Star to arrive here today, therefore we better rush around and see what's getting on. As the game progresses, the VC come on more and more and more. And the White Star want to get to the end of their mission, so they say, right, let's clear the whole place, let's dust off, we're done. Now, the VC, they've got 5 potential units. At the start of the game, only 2 are on the table. But they have to go around the villages and activate or recruit or mobilise their followers. Then they arrive 1 per turn. Now, the game is even because it's been carefully play tested and worked through, both sides can win. But in this game, the VC get to have some fun as well as a player. You're not just pop-up targets, you're there to do things. And there's the VC. I've called the commanders Han, Bong, Bang, Bax and Dap. Dap is the lead commander. They don't have a full structure. And there's the VC. They always just get 5 units. Now, in this game, the White Star, or the American stuff, could be veteran, average, or raw. The raw would probably be Arvins. The average would be most infantry, main Marines. The veterans could be Marines, but they don't have search and destroy using just green berets, that sort of thing. They're working with the Montagnards. The Australians would probably be average, possibly veteran, but probably average. But the VC are all counted as raw, because there are three qualities. There's veteran, average, raw, or qualities 1, 2, 3. And the VC count as raw. It's their own fault. Now, the Vietnam rules have mechanisms for everything in the game. There's no just say, well, I wonder what's going to happen here, let's roll a dice, whatever. The rules are all complete. Now, the first thing is, there are 10 rows. It's a 5-foot table, or 10 squares long. There are 10 rows. Now, the VC write down a number between 1 and 10. The White Star write a number between 1 and 10, and you add them together. If it comes a number less than 10, then that's the row number. So let's say one player chose a 4, one chose a 3. 3 and 4 is 7. They arrive in row 7. This is where the White Star, the Americans, arrive. If it's more than 10, then it wraps around. Now, you've got to think carefully about how you might want to do this. But personally, I want to be in the centre of the table, where we want to be for the action. So I'm going to choose something moderate. Let's say the American player chooses a 3. The VC player might say, I'm not sure what I'll choose. I'll choose something big like 9. 9 and 3 is 12. There's 10 rows. It wraps around to row 2. So this will be the row 2, the second row where they arrive. Now the Americans roll a single dice, because there are 6 squares across, for the command squad. I've rolled a 1. The command team arrives in the second row in the first square. Second squad, I've rolled a 6. Not what I want, but things can get tough at times. They're over there. There they go. The next squad rolls a 4. You can't have 2 squads in the same square, so you'd have to re-roll. There we go. There we go. They've arrived. Now remember, the last American squad, or White Star squad, doesn't come on till a little bit later in the game. They're your backstops. Now, you don't know where the VC are yet, so they could start off hunkered down or just stand there ready to move off. So helicopters have come in. There they go. You can always slap your thighs, get some helicopter noises. And if the whole table does that, it's very amusing. Well, I think it's amusing anyway. So there we are. America's arrived. The game's ready to start. The next very important mechanism in these rules is that of deviation. Things don't always go exactly as you plan. And the platoons individually weren't using satellite navigation. Things are a little bit hit and miss. Now, whenever there's a deviation, it means that both sides roll a dice. But the VC always get +1 because they know the area better and they're a little bit sneakier at sorting things out, hiding things away. Now, the VC player with his first unit, here we are, and this is Bong. He doesn't want to arrive too near any White Star units. He'll just get shot to pieces until he's recruited. So he's going to place himself up in the village up here. There we go. He's arrived. Now, once you place the figures, do a deviation roll. Both players roll a dice, but the VC gets a +1. The VC rolls a 5, add 1 becomes a 6. Piggies are 6s. The American player rolls a 4. The difference is 2. The winner, the higher score, can either deviate his own men by 2 or leave them alone. Now let's say, for example, the American player got a 5 and the VC player only got a 2. There's a difference of 3. The White Star, American player, could move the VC by 3 squares or not at all. It's not up to 3, it's exactly 3 or nothing. So if the White Star got 3, he might say, well, let's drag them down 3 squares this way. 1, 2, 3, and they're right in front of me. I can shoot them in the face. Marvellous. Anyway, that hasn't happened. The VC unit is here. Right, let's have a quick chat about the peasants. Now, peasants, or the locals here, are marked little bases, like this. It's got the word peasant on it. I've labelled everything for superb clarity. Could just use some odd figure, but I'll try to label it all so it looks nice. Every single of the 6 villages is comprised of 2 squares. Now, once again, for clarity, because I don't want to be writing stuff down, I'll put a little peasant mark with a question mark on it. because you don't know how many peasants are there. There's a token base, but I don't know, it might be a lot, not many. And also a little mark says not searched yet. To win this game, the white star need to go to the villages, search as many as possible, that counts for victory points, find as many caches or goods or good things as possible, and also try not to kill too many peasants, but kill as many Vietnamese VC. There's not a lot of victory points killing VC, but there's a lot in finding stuff. Now, the way to win this game, there's lots and lots of different ways of winning the game. It's not just a blue flag where whoever's last standing on someone's head wins the game. No. You win this game by a combination of finding things, losing things, getting killed, killing, etc, etc. Right, back to the peasants. Each peasant square, you don't know how many peasants are there. Whoever gets there first can roll to see how many there are. Now, this American unit is in this part of a village, and there's little yellow markers saying peasants with a question mark. They roll a dice. They're allowed to re-roll. The white star probably want not too many peasants around because they're potential recruits. One. Well, there's already one base there. There's always a token base. We'll leave the base there, take the marker off. No new peasants can ever be generated in that square. Now, if the VC were to arrive, they probably want more peasants. So if they rolled, for example, 4 peasants, they might say, oh, 4's just fine. I have 4 peasant models. But do note, once you know how many peasants are there, the peasants don't go anywhere on the table, they just hang around. But once you know they're there, then they can be accidental targets. You can interrogate them to learn things, all sorts of bits and pieces. Now, peasant markers, because there are 12 village squares, you probably need about 30 peasant markers because they'll come and go. And as they're recruited or called up for the VC, then they'll be taken off. And as I said, some might get shot and stuff like that, which is unfortunate. But it's a war game. It's not the real war. This is a game of soldiers. Anyway, that's how the peasants work. They don't do anything. They're inanimate, but they just hang around in little groups. The idea behind Vietnam is that players crack on, get the game done. The game should be completed easily in less than 2 hours, which means you can then swap sides, stuff like that, or get some different games out. So 2 hours should be no problem at all. There is a lot of dice rolling in it, but that evens out and it works really nicely. The first most important mechanism in the game is actions. Now it works like this. There are easy actions, medium actions and difficult actions. This is the play sheet from the rules. You can download them free of charge, print them out yourself on the website as well if you want to. Easy actions, things like move onto a road, move into the open, get down or get up and carry on, destroy a cache, generate a new VC from a peasant. They're easy things. Medium, which is most things, is moving into a paddy field, moving into a village, moving into the jungle, shoot up to twice, getting a new leader, calling artillery, etc., or interrogate. Difficult things are searching a village square, moving into bamboo or rocky hills, assaulting, calling in artillery or Kazivac. They're difficult things. Now here's how the game works. Each unit, and we've got a US command team there, starts with 7 dice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, the player, you'll get used to this because it's very easy. The player says what he's going to do and then does it. Here we go. This team says, I want to move into a paddy field. 4, 5, 6, that's a medium action. Easy actions 3, 4, 5 or 6. Medium actions 4, 5, 6. And difficult actions 5 or 6. So the player said, I'm moving to paddy field, needs a 4, 5, 6. Because every single dice they've got, as long as one of them's a 4, 5, 6, you can carry the action out. So, unit moves the square, but now it's only got 6 dice. They burnt a dice off. Now, they're going to move into bamboo. That's difficult. It needs a 5 or a 6. Oh, luckily, there we go. I just need 1 success and I'm okay. Now, there are 5 dice left. Well, just for the sake of showing how the gameplay works, I'm going to move on to the road. That's only a 3, 4, 5 or 6. That's easy. There we go. Moved onto the road. And now, so I don't end up in the open, I'm going to move into the jungle, 4, 5, 6. There we go. Now, this unit's used 1, 2, 3, 4 actions. So 4 dice are gone and 3 dice are left. Now here's the next important part. If you get a fail, you've ruined the whole turn for your whole side. And the other units only get 1 dice each. This is what I mean. Let's say, for example, you're down to your last 2 dice and you say, I think I'd like to search a village. That's a 5 or a 6. You roll the dice. I haven't got a 5 or a 6. I failed. If I fail, my other units this turn only get 1 dice each, 1 dice each, 1 dice each. But here's the joy of the game. Do you risk it or are you super cautious? If you're super cautious, you say, I'll do just one thing and then stop, then you're going to find you won't get anywhere and you'll lose the game easily. If you gamble wildly all the time and keep on failing, you'll have the odd squad does a lot of stuff, but the other squads just be standing around. Not a good idea. One minor thing, I'll mention rules as they come up. If any White Star forces move a 3rd square, so they've moved 1, 2, 3, there's a chance of a booby trap. So the VC player rolls 5 or 6 and a booby trap goes off. If there's not a 5 or 6 and no booby trap, just carry on as you are. If booby trap does go off, there's a small chance troops will get hurt, but also it means that unit goes down, they stop their turn. Now let's replay that a little bit. So let's just say, for example, this command squad, it starts with 7 dice. There are 7 dice. I'm going to start off in this paddy field here. Actually, no, I think it was this row here. There we go. Right, 7 dice. But the point is you've got to declare what you're doing. I want to go and search this village. So to move into the opens, a 3, 4, 5 or 6 should be dead easy. Oh, well, so it is. A 3, 4, 5 or 6. I'm going to move into there. That's 1 dice used. Moving to villages of 4, 5, 6. I'm a little bit more cautious. Yeah, but you'd expect to pass it. It's all on expectation. When I get there, I see how many villages there are. Just roll dice. Doesn't use up a dice. 1. I don't want 1. Oh, well, 5. I didn't want 5 either, but there we go. I take the peasant marker off and put down a total of 5 peasant bases. Marvellous. Now, I could do some interrogation. I've got 5 dice left. Searching is difficult. It needs a 5 or a 6. I think the odds are pretty good with 5 dice. So therefore I declare I'm going to search. Need a 5 or a 6. Yeah, there we go. I get to search. Now after I've searched, and I'll show searching in a minute, but that's searching. I could then say, well, I'll move to the next village. Got 4 dice. That's a 4, 5, 6. Yes, there we go. I'm in the next village. Just see how many peasants there are. 6. I don't want 6. 5. There are 5 peasants here. I take the peasant marker off. I need a total of 5 there. So I've moved 1, 2, search once, that's 3. Moved again 4, searched again. Well, I'm about to search again. That would be 3 left. I'm not sure I would gamble on a search at this point because it's a difficult action on a 5 or 6. However, let's say I'm going to search. Well, that was lucky. I've got another search going on. Marvellous. But if I had successfully searched, my last 2 dice, I'm not sure, especially if I want the other units to get going around. And that's how the actions are carried out. One other little thing to notice is that when the VC are on the table, because they're raw, they lose a dice. So instead of 7 dice, they drop to just 6 dice. That's just one of the differences for being raw. And I'll go over searching next, I think.